The looming threat. The vast emptiness of space suddenly erupted with blinding flashes of light as the Zarkonian battle fleet materialized on the outskirts of Earth's solar system. Admiral Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship, the UES Defiant, her weathered face etched with concern as she watched the alien armada approach on the holographic display. "Status report," she barked, her eyes never leaving the swarm of red dots representing the enemy vessels. Lieutenant Commander Akira Tanaka's fingers danced across his console. "Sensors are picking up over 500 Zarkonian warships, Admiral. Their technology far outclasses anything we have. Our entire fleet wouldn't stand a chance against even a fraction of their force." Elena's jaw clenched. Humanity had only recently ventured beyond their home system, and their fledgling space navy was woefully unprepared for this level of threat. She knew they needed help, and fast. "Open a channel to Earth Central Command," she ordered, "and get me a direct line to the Galactic Council. It's time we called in some favors." As the communications officer scrambled to comply, Elena's mind raced through their options. The Galactic Council, an assembly of advanced alien civilizations, had initially been wary of humanity's rapid technological progress. But over the past decade, Earth's diplomats had worked tirelessly to build trust and forge alliances. Now, those relationships would be put to the ultimate test. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the stern face of General Marcus Chung at Earth Central Command. "Admiral Rodriguez, we're tracking the Zarkonian fleet. What's your assessment?" Elena didn't sugarcoat the situation. "General, we're drastically outgunned and outnumbered. Our only hope is to request immediate assistance from the Galactic Council. I recommend we activate the emergency protocols we established with them." General Chang's expression darkened, but he nodded in agreement. "Understood, Admiral. I'll inform the President and the Joint Chiefs. Do whatever you can to buy us time. Earth Central out." As the screen went dark, Lieutenant Tanaka called out, "Admiral, we've established a connection with the Galactic Council's emergency channel." Elena took a deep breath, straightening her uniform before stepping into view of the communication array. The holographic image of Xandor, the Arcturian representative to the Council, materialized before her. "Greetings, Admiral Rodriguez." Xandor's melodious voice resonated through the bridge. "We've detected unusual activity in your sector. How may the Council assist you?" Helena wasted no time on pleasantries. "Counselor Xandor, Earth is facing an imminent invasion by the Zarkonian Empire. We formally request the aid promised under the Mutual Defense Pact." Xandor's luminescent eyes widened. "The Zarkonians. This is grave news indeed. I will convene an emergency session of the Council immediately. But Admiral, you must understand that mobilizing our forces will take time." "Time is something we don't have, Counselor," Elena replied, her voice tight with urgency. "The Zarkonian fleet will reach Earth within hours. Millions of lives are at stake." The Arcturian's expression became resolute. "We will not abandon our allies in their time of need, Admiral. Hold your position as long as you can. Help is coming." As the transmission ended, Elena turned to address her crew. She saw fear in their eyes, but also determination. "I won't lie to you," she began, her voice carrying across the hushed bridge. "We face overwhelming odds. But Earth is counting on us to defend her. And we will not go down without a fight. Every minute we can delay the Zarkonians gives our people a better chance of survival." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We may be outnumbered, but we have something the Zarkonians don't, the indomitable spirit of humanity. Together, we will show them that Earth is not an easy target. To your stations, and may fortune favor the brave." A chorus of "Aye, Admiral," rang out as the crew sprang into action. Elena returned her gaze to the tactical display, watching as the enemy fleet drew ever closer. The next few hours would determine the fate of humanity, and she silently prayed that the Galactic Council's aid would arrive in time. As klaxons blared throughout the ship, Signaling battle stations, Alina steeled herself for the fight ahead. Whatever happened, she knew that humanity would face this threat as they had faced every challenge in their history, with courage, ingenuity, and an unwavering will to survive. Humanity's ingenuity. As the Zarkonian fleet drew closer, the bridge of the UEA's Defiant buzzed with frantic activity. Admiral Elena Rodriguez paced back and forth, her mind racing through potential strategies. She knew they couldn't win in a direct confrontation, but perhaps they could outsmart their technologically superior foes. Lieutenant Commander Tanaka, she called out suddenly, "What's the status of Project Chimera?" Akira's eyes widened in surprise. "Project Chimera, Admiral. But that's still in the experimental phase. We haven't had time to." Elena cut him off with a wave of her hand. "I know it's risky, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Get Dr. Yuki Sato up here immediately." Within minutes, a disheveled scientist with wild hair and thick-rimmed glasses stumbled onto the bridge. Dr. Sato's brilliant mind had conceived Project Chimera, a daring attempt to combine human AI with salvaged alien technology. "Dr. Sato," Elena addressed her, "I need Chimera operational. Now." The scientist's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. "But Admiral, we've only run simulations. The system is highly unstable and—" "Doctor," Elena interrupted, her voice steel, "in less than an hour, those Zarkonian ships will be in firing range. Chimera is our only shot at evening the odds. Make it work." Determination replaced the uncertainty in Dr. Sato's eyes. She nodded sharply and rushed to a nearby console, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. Elena turned to her tactical officer. "Commander Garcia, I want every scrap of data we have on Zarkonian ship designs and weapon systems fed into Chimera. If we're going to pull this off, we need to give the AI every advantage we can." As the crew worked feverishly to bring Chimera online, Elena opened a channel to the rest of the Earth fleet. "All ships, this is Admiral Rodriguez. We're activating Project Chimera. When the system comes online, you'll receive new tactical data and combat protocols. Follow them to the letter. They may seem unconventional, but they're our best hope for survival." A chorus of acknowledgments echoed through the comm system. Elena could sense the mix of hope and trepidation in her captain's voices. They all knew the stakes. Suddenly, Dr. Sato's excited voice cut through the tension. "Admiral, Chimera is online and fully integrated with our systems." Elena didn't waste a second. "Patch it through to the main display. Let's see what we're working with." The holographic tactical display transformed, showing a dizzying array of new information. Chimera had analyzed the Zarkonian fleet's formation and was highlighting vulnerabilities that human tacticians had missed. It suggested a series of maneuvers that, while seemingly chaotic, promised to maximize the effectiveness of Earth's limited firepower. "This is incredible," Akira breathed, studying the data. "Chimera's processing power is off the charts. It's predicting Zarkonian tactics faster than they can execute them." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Then let's put it to the test. All ships, assume Chimera Formation Alpha. Prepare to engage on my mark." As the Earth fleet repositioned itself according to Chimera's calculations, the Zarkonian armada entered weapons range. Their massive ships dwarfed humanity's vessels, bristling with weaponry that could vaporize planets. The enemy commander's face appeared on the main view screen, his scaled visage twisted in a sneer. "Pitiful humans," he growled. "Your primitive fleet is no match for the might of the Zarkonian Empire. Surrender now, and we may show mercy." Elena met his gaze unflinchingly. "We appreciate the offer," she replied, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "But I'm afraid we'll have to decline. Humanity doesn't bow to bullies." The Zarkonian's eyes narrowed. "Then you have chosen extinction. Open fire." Elena cut the transmission before he could finish. "All ships, execute Chimera Protocol now." What followed was a ballet of destruction that defied conventional space combat tactics. Earth's ships moved in seemingly random patterns, confusing Zarkonian targeting systems. Coordinated by Chimera's lightning-fast calculations, human vessels fired from impossible angles, exploiting weaknesses in the enemy's shields that no organic mind could have detected. Caught off guard by the humans' inexplicable efficiency, the Zarkonian fleet's formations began to break down. Ships that should have been impervious to Earth's weapons suddenly found themselves crippled or destroyed. "It's working," Akira shouted, his voice filled with disbelief and joy. "We've taken out a quarter of their fleet, and our losses are minimal." Elena allowed herself no celebration. "Keep pressing the attack. We need to hold out until—" Her words were cut short as a blinding flash of light filled the view screen. For a heart-stopping moment, she feared the worst. But as the glare faded, she saw something that made her heart soar. A massive portal had opened in space, and through it poured the most diverse collection of starships Elena had ever seen. Vessels of every size and configuration, bearing the insignias of a dozen different alien races, joined the fray. The comm system crackled to life, and Xandor's familiar voice filled the bridge. "Admiral Rodriguez, the Galactic Council stands with Earth. Our combined fleets are at your disposal." Elena's eyes shone with fierce pride as she addressed both her crew and their newfound allies. "Thank you, Counselor. Now let's show these Zarkonian aggressors what happens when they mess with humanity and its friends." As the reinforced Earth fleet surged forward, bolstered by the Council's ships and guided by Chimera's brilliance, Elena knew that the tide of battle had finally turned. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger, proving that ingenuity and determination could overcome even the most daunting odds. The real fight was just beginning, but for the first time since the Zarkonians appeared, hope burned bright in the hearts of every human defender. They would not go quietly into the night. They would rage against the dying of the light, and they would win. The battle for Earth. The space around Earth erupted into a kaleidoscope of weapon fire as the combined fleets of humanity and the Galactic Council clashed with the Zarkonian armada. Admiral Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of the maelstrom, coordinating the defense of her homeworld with a mixture of tactical brilliance and sheer determination. "Chimera, analyze the Council ships and integrate their capabilities into our battle plans," Elena commanded. The AI complied instantly, its adaptive algorithms rapidly assimilating the new data. Xandor's crystalline ship glided alongside the UES Defiant, its translucent hull shimmering with energy. "Admiral," the Arcturian's voice resonated through the comm, "your Chimera system is remarkable. May we link it with our fleet's neural network?" Elena hesitated for a split second before nodding to Dr. Sato. "Make it happen, Doctor. If we're going to win this, we need every advantage we can get." As Chimera merged with the advanced alien systems, the tactical display blossomed with new information. The AI's already impressive capabilities expanded exponentially, creating a symphony of coordinated attacks that left the Zarkonians reeling. "Incredible," Akira breathed, watching as friendly ships danced through the enemy formation with impossible precision. "It's like the entire fleet has become a single organism." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "That's the power of cooperation, Lieutenant. Something the Zarkonians clearly underestimated." But the enemy was far from defeated. The Zarkonian flagship, a behemoth that dwarfed even the largest council vessels, pushed through the defensive line, its weapons leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. "All ships, focus fire on that dreadnought," Elena ordered, her voice sharp with urgency. "We can't let it reach Earth's atmosphere." The combined fleet responded, pouring energy beams and missile salvos into the massive ship. Its shields flickered but held, the Zarkonian technology proving frustratingly resilient. Suddenly, an alert blared through the Defiance bridge. "Admiral," Garcia shouted from his station, "the dreadnought is powering up some kind of superweapon. Energy readings are off the charts." Elena's mind raced. They needed a solution, fast. "Dr. Sato, What options does Chimera give us? The scientist's fingers flew across her console. The AA suggests a concentrated EMP burst, targeted at a specific frequency. But we'd need to get past their shields to deliver it. I believe we can assist with that, Xandor interjected. Our phase shift technology can briefly create a window in their defenses. Elena nodded sharply. Do it. Chimera, prepare the EMP for my mark. As Xandor's ship moved into position, Elena opened a channel to the entire fleet. All vessels, this is Admiral Rodriguez. Prepare to give everything you've got. The fate of Earth hangs in the balance. The next few moments were a blur of coordinated chaos. Xandor's ship shimmered, becoming ghost-like as it passed through the dreadnought's shields. At the same instant, every ship in the Allied fleet fired, their weapons guided by Chimera's unerring calculations to converge on a single point. Now, Elena shouted. A pulse of electromagnetic energy, precisely tuned to the Zarkonian systems, erupted from the Defiant. It passed through the temporary gap in the shields, washing over the massive ship just as its superweapon began to fire. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a series of cascading explosions, the dreadnought systems overloaded. The superweapon's energy turned inward, tearing the ship apart from within. A cheer erupted across the Allied fleet as the Zarkonian flagship disintegrated in a spectacular light show. But Elena's celebration was short-lived. Admiral, Akira called out, his voice tense. We're detecting a massive energy surge from the dreadnought's remnants. Some kind of dimensional rift is forming. The view screen showed a swirling vortex of energy where the Zarkonian ship had been, growing larger by the second. All ships, fall back, Elena ordered, but even as the words left her mouth, she knew it was too late. The rift expanded rapidly, engulfing nearby vessels, both Allied and Zarkonian alike. Brace for impact, Elena shouted, gripping her command chair as the energy wave washed over the Defiant. The world turned inside out. Elena felt as if every atom of her body was being pulled apart and reassembled. The bridge dissolved around her, replaced by a kaleidoscope of impossible colors and geometries. And then, as suddenly as it began, it was over. Elena blinked, trying to orient herself. The Defiant's bridge slowly came back into focus, but something was off. Status report, she managed, her voice hoarse. Akira's response was filled with disbelief. Admiral, you're not going to believe this. We're not in the solar system anymore. None of these star patterns match our charts. The rift, Dr. Sato whispered, her face pale. It must have been some kind of experimental jump drive. We've been transported somewhere else in the galaxy. As the implications of their situation sank in, Elena straightened her uniform and faced her crew. All right, people. We've been thrown into the unknown, but we're still here, still fighting. Our mission hasn't changed. Protect Earth and defeat the Zarkonians. We'll find our way home, no matter what it takes. She turned to the view screen, which now showed an alien sky filled with unfamiliar stars. Chimera, start scanning the area. Let's figure out where we are and what came through that rift with us. As her crew sprang into action, Elena allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. They had won a crucial battle, but the war was far from over. And now, lost in an uncharted region of space, they faced challenges beyond anything they had prepared for. But as she looked at the determined faces around her, Elena felt a surge of pride. Humanity had already proven its worth among the stars. Whatever this new frontier held, she knew they would face it together, with courage, ingenuity, and the unyielding spirit that defined their species. The next chapter of their adventure was just beginning. Strangers in a strange land. The bridge of the UEA's Defiant hummed with tense activity as the crew worked to make sense of their new surroundings. Admiral Elena Rodriguez stood before the main view screen, studying the alien star field with a mixture of awe and concern. Dr. Sato, She called out, "What's Chimera's analysis of our current position?" The scientist's fingers danced across her console, interfacing with the AI. "It's remarkable, Admiral. According to Chimera's calculations, we're in what appears to be the Andromeda Galaxy." A collective gasp rippled through the bridge. Akira voiced what everyone was thinking. Andromeda. But that's over 2.5 million light-years from Earth. Elena's jaw tightened. The Zarkonian technology is more advanced than we realized. That rift didn't just move us through space. It catapulted us to another galaxy entirely. "Admiral," Commander Garcia interjected, "we're picking up multiple signatures. It looks like we weren't the only ones pulled through the rift." The tactical display lit up, showing a scattered array of ships. A mix of human, Galactic Council, and Zarkonian vessels. All of them seemed to be in various states of disarray, still reeling from the dimensional jump. Elena's mind raced, assessing their options. "Our priority is to regroup and establish a safe haven. Hail all non-Zarkonian ships. Let's gather our allies and figure out our next move." As the communications officer carried out her orders, Dr. Seto's voice carried a note of excitement. "Admiral, Chimera has made an interesting discovery. The rift didn't just transport us. It seems to have merged some of our technologies in the process. We're detecting hybrid systems across our fleet, combining human, council, and even Zarkonian tech." Elena's eyebrows shot up. "Can we use this to our advantage?" "Absolutely," Dr. Sato nodded enthusiastically. "With Chimera's help, we might be able to unlock capabilities we never dreamed of." A series of holograms flickered to life around the bridge, showing the captains of the other ships that had made the journey. Among them was Kandor, looking slightly disoriented but unharmed. Admiral Rodriguez, the Arcturian's melodious voice, carried a note of relief. "It is good to see you survive the transition. What is our status?" Elena addressed the assembled holograms with calm authority. "We find ourselves in an unprecedented situation, far from home and in uncharted territory. But we're not without resources or allies. I propose we combine our efforts to establish a base of operations and find a way back to our galaxy." Captain Zara Vex of the Plex Confederation, a species known for their adaptive biology, spoke up. "Agreed, Admiral. But we should also consider the opportunities before us. We're the first expedition from our galaxy to reach Andromeda. The scientific and exploratory potential is enormous." Elena nodded thoughtfully. "A valid point, Captain Vex. We'll need to balance our desire to return home with the unique chance we've been given to explore a new galaxy." Suddenly, alarms blared across the Defiance Bridge. "Admiral," Akira shouted, "multiple Zarkonian ships are powering up weapons. They're targeting the civilian vessels that came through with us." Without hesitation, Elena barked out orders. "All combat-capable ships, form a defensive perimeter around the civilians. Chimera, analyze those hybrid systems Dr. Sato mentioned and give me tactical options." The next few minutes were a blur of coordinated action. The Allied ships moved with surprising synchronicity, their hybrid systems allowing for maneuvers that should have been impossible. Chimera's enhanced algorithms, now drawing from the combined knowledge of multiple species, predicted and countered Zarkonian tactics with uncanny accuracy. Energy beams lanced across space as the two forces clashed. But where the Zarkonians fought with desperate aggression, the Allied fleet moved with purpose and unity. One by one, the enemy ships were disabled or destroyed. As the last Zarkonian vessel fell silent, a cheer went up across the Allied fleet. But Elena knew their challenges were far from over. "Excellent work, everyone," she addressed the fleet. "But we can't afford to rest on our laurels. We're still in unknown territory, and we need to secure our position." She turned to the assembled holograms of her fellow captains. "I suggest we make for that planetoid," she said, indicating a large rocky body on the tactical display. "It has a breathable atmosphere and should provide a defensible position while we regroup and repair." Agreement came swiftly, and soon the Galactic fleet was in motion, heading towards what would become their temporary home in this new galaxy. As they approached the planetoid, Alina couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder. Despite the danger and uncertainty, they were about to set foot on an alien world, farther from Earth than any human had ever been. "Dr. Sato," she said, a hint of excitement creeping into her voice, "prep the landing party. Let's go see what Andromeda has in store for us." The scientist's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. "Right away, Admiral." As the Defiant entered orbit and preparations for landing began, Alina took a moment to address her crew. "I know we're far from home, facing challenges we never imagined. But look around you. We've already accomplished the impossible. We've crossed galaxies, formed alliances with incredible beings, and held our own against a superior foe. Whatever comes next, I have faith that together, we'll find a way to overcome it." A chorus of determined affirmations echoed through the ship. As Alina looked out at the alien world below, she felt a mix of trepidation and exhilaration. They had called on the Galactic Council for help, and now they found themselves on an adventure beyond their wildest dreams. The next chapter of human history was about to be written, and Alina was determined to make it one for the ages. First steps in a new world. The landing shuttle touched down on the alien soil with a soft thud, kicking up a swirl of iridescent dust. Admiral Alina Rodriguez was the first to step out, her boot leaving a pristine imprint on the untouched surface of this Andromedan world. "One small step for a human," she murmured, a wry smile playing on her lips. "One giant leap for intergalactic relations." Behind her, Dr. Yuki Sato and a diverse team of human and alien scientists eagerly disembarked, their eyes wide with wonder as they took in their surroundings. The landscape before them was both familiar and utterly alien, rolling hills covered in vegetation that shimmered with bioluminescence, underneath a sky painted with the swirling arms of the Andromeda galaxy. "It's breathtaking," Dr. Sato whispered, her scientific curiosity barely contained. She pulled out a handheld device, its display flickering as Chimera's AI interfaced with the hybrid technology. "The atmosphere is remarkably Earth-like, but the composition of the soil and plant life is like nothing we've ever seen." Kazandor glided down the shuttle ramp, the Arcturian's crystalline body refracting the alien sunlight. "Indeed, Dr. Sato, even to one who has traveled as extensively as I, this world holds many mysteries." Alina nodded, her tactical mind already assessing their situation. "Let's establish a base camp here. I want defensible positions and a command center set up within the hour. We don't know what kind of life forms might call this place home." As if on cue, a low rumble shook the ground. In the distance, a massive shape rose from behind one of the bioluminescent hills. It looked like a cross between a centipede and a whale, its segmented body undulating as it moved with surprising grace for its size. "Fascinating," Xandor commented, his voice filled with awe. "A macrofauna species of incredible proportions. Its very existence defies our understanding of exobiology." Alina's hand instinctively went to her sidearm, but Dr. Sato quickly interjected. "Wait, Admiral. Chimera's scans show no signs of aggression. In fact, it seems to be curious about us." The giant creature slowly approached, its multiple eyes blinking in sequence as it observed the newcomers. Alina stood her ground, projecting calm authority even as her heart raced. "Hold your positions," she ordered the security team. "Let's not make any hostile moves." To everyone's amazement, the creature stopped a short distance away and then bowed, its front segments lowered to the ground in what could only be interpreted as a gesture of respect or greeting. Dr. Sato's eyes widened. "Intelligence," she breathed. "It's displaying signs of sapient behavior." Alina slowly raised her hand in a peaceful gesture. "Hello," she said, feeling slightly foolish but pushing on. "We come in peace." The creature's body rippled, and suddenly the air was filled with a melodious humming. Chimera's translation algorithms kicked in, struggling to make sense of the complex harmonics. "It's welcoming us," Dr. Seto said, reading the eye's output, and warning us something about the great danger. Before they could inquire further, the ground shook again, this time more violently. In the sky above, dark shapes began to appear, descending through the atmosphere. "Zarkonian ships," Elena shouted, recognizing the configuration. "They must have followed us here." Everyone, back to the shuttle. As they scrambled to evacuate, the giant creature moved with surprising speed, positioning itself between the landing party and the approaching enemy vessels. It emitted a deafening roar that seemed to shake the very air. In response, more of the creatures appeared over the hills, forming a protective barrier around the humans and their allies. "They're defending us," Xandor said in disbelief. Elena made a split-second decision. Change of plans. We stand our ground. These beings are offering us help, and we're not about to abandon potential allies. She opened a channel to the orbiting fleet. "This is Admiral Rodriguez. We have a first contact situation and incoming hostiles. I need immediate air support and deployment of ground forces. And somebody get Chimera working on translating this new language. We need to communicate with these creatures ASAP." As shuttles and drop pods began descending from the Allied ships, Elena turned to address the assembled team. "I know this isn't what any of us expected when we woke up this morning. We're far from home, facing an enemy that followed us across galaxies, and now we're about to fight alongside beings we've just met. But this is what humanity does best. We adapt, we make friends, and we stand up for what's right, no matter where in the universe we find ourselves." She gestured to the massive creatures forming a living wall between them and the approaching Zarkonian forces. "These beings have chosen to help us. Now it's our turn to help them defend their home. Let's show Andromeda what happens when you mess with humanity and its allies." A cheer went up from the assembled forces, human, alien, and native alike. As the first shots of the battle began to light up the alien sky, Elena felt a surge of determination. They had called on the Galactic Council for help, been flung across the universe, and now found themselves fighting alongside the most unlikely of allies. It was going to be one hell of a story to tell when they finally made it back to Earth. But first, they had a world to defend and a new galactic community to forge. The battle for Andromeda was about to begin, and humanity was right in the thick of it. The battle for New Horizons. The sky above the alien world, which the crew had started calling New Horizons, erupted into a dazzling display of weapons fire as the Allied fleet engaged the Zarkonian forces. On the ground, Admiral Elena Rodriguez coordinated a hastily assembled defense force, a motley crew of humans, Galactic Council members, and the giant centipede-like natives they had dubbed Guardians. "Chimera, what's the status on translating the Guardians' language?" Elena shouted over the din of battle, her eyes scanning the holographic tactical display projected from her wrist device. Dr. Sato's voice crackled through the comm. "We're making progress, Admiral. Chimera's adaptive algorithms are correlating their harmonic frequencies with emotional and situational context. We should have a working translation soon." A Zarkonian dropship screamed overhead, its hull smoking from a direct hit. As it careened towards the ground, two Guardians reared up, using their massive bodies to cushion its crash and minimize collateral damage. "Remarkable," Xandor commented, his crystalline form shimmering as he generated an energy shield to deflect incoming fire. "These beings possess both great strength and a deep compassion." Elena nodded, a plan forming in her mind. "If we can effectively communicate with them, we might be able to turn the tide of this battle." "Lieutenant Tanaka, what's the status of our hybrid tech integration?" Akira's voice came through, tense but excited. "It's incredible, Admiral. The merged technologies are allowing us to do things we never thought possible. We've got human ingenuity, council sophistication, and even some reversed engineered Zarkonian tech, all working in concert." "Excellent," Elena replied. I want you to work with Dr. Sato and the Guardians. See if we can integrate their bioluminescent properties into our communication systems. If we can't talk to them yet, maybe we can signal them." As her crew sprang into action, Elena turned her attention back to the battle. The Zarkonians were pushing hard, clearly desperate to gain a foothold in this new galaxy. But the Allied forces were holding their ground, their diverse capabilities complementing each other in ways the enemy couldn't have anticipated. Suddenly, Dr. Sato's excited voice burst through the comm. "Admiral, we've done it. Chimeras cracked the basic structure of the Guardian language, patching it through to all Allied forces now." Elena wasted no time. Activating her newly upgraded comm system, she broadcast a message to all nearby Guardians, her words translated into their melodic, harmonic language. "Noble Guardians of New Horizons," she began, hoping the translation captured the respect and urgency in her voice. "We thank you for your help and protection. The invaders threaten not just us, but your world as well. If we coordinate our efforts, we can drive them back. Will you join us in defending your home?" For a moment, the battlefield seemed to hold its breath. Then, a symphony of harmonic responses filled the air. The tactical display lit up as Guardian signatures began moving with clear purpose, integrating seamlessly with the Allied battle formations. "They're with us, Admiral," Akira reported, his voice filled with awe. "The Guardians are. They're sharing neural links with each other. They're coordinating on a level we've never seen before." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Then let's not leave them hanging. All forces, execute Battle Plan Omega. Let's show the Zarkonians what happens when you mess with the combined might of two galaxies." What followed was a battle that would be remembered in the annals of both Milky Way and Andromedan history. Human fighters darted between lumbering Guardian behemoths, using their massive allies as mobile cover. Arcturian energy weapons synchronized with the Guardians' bioluminescent pulses, creating dazzling light shows that disoriented Zarkonian forces. On the ground, Elena led a charge against a Zarkonian stronghold, her tactical genius amplified by Chimera's predictive algorithms and the Guardians' intimate knowledge of the terrain. As they approached the enemy position, a Guardian lowered its body, allowing Elena and her strike team to use it as a living bridge across a chasm. "Now this is what I call interspecies cooperation," Elena quipped as she sprinted across the Guardian's back, her team hot on her heels. The battle raged for hours, but gradually the tide began to turn. The Zarkonian forces, faced with an enemy that grew more coordinated and effective with each passing minute, began to falter. As the last Zarkonian ship retreated from the atmosphere of New Horizons, a cheer went up from the Allied forces. Humans hugged Arcturians. Council members patted Guardians, and for a moment, the divisions of species and galaxy faded away. Elena stood on a hilltop, surveying the aftermath of the battle. The landscape bore the scars of conflict, but already she could see Guardians beginning to tend to the wounded Earth, their bioluminescence seeming to heal the scorched ground. Xandor glided up beside her, his crystalline form reflecting the colors of the setting Andromedan sun. "A remarkable victory, Admiral. But I fear this is only the beginning." Elena nodded solemnly. "The Zarkonians will be back, and they'll have learned from this defeat. We need to be ready." She turned to face the assembled leaders of the Allied forces, human, council, and Guardian alike. "We came to Andromeda by accident, called for help, and found ourselves thrust into a war. But look at what we've accomplished together. Two galaxies, multiple species, all working in harmony." Her eyes shone with determination as she continued. "We have an opportunity here, not just to defend ourselves, but to forge a new kind of alliance, one that spans galaxies and unites diverse species in a common cause. The Zarkonians think they can divide and conquer us. Let's show them how wrong they are." As murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, Elena felt a sense of hope rising within her. They were far from home, facing an implacable enemy, but they weren't alone. And as long as they stood together, There was no challenge they couldn't overcome. The sun dipped below the horizon, bathing New Horizons in a soft, alien twilight. As the bioluminescent flora began to glow, Alina knew that a new dawn was coming, not just for this world, but for two galaxies united in a common cause. The next phase of their incredible journey was about to begin. A bridge between galaxies. In the days following the Battle of New Horizons, a profound sense of change settled over the alien world. The once pristine landscape, now bearing the scars of conflict, buzzed with activity as humans, Galactic Council members, and Guardians worked side by side to build a permanent settlement. Admiral Elena Rodriguez stood at the entrance of the newly constructed command center, a structure that beautifully blended human engineering, Council technology, and Guardian organic architecture. She watched as Dr. Yuki Seto excitedly explained the function of a hybrid communications array to a group of attentive Guardians, their harmonic translations now as clear as any human language thanks to Chimera's evolving algorithms. Quite a sight, isn't it? Xandor's melodious voice came from beside her. In all my years of cosmic diplomacy, I never imagined I'd witness the birth of an intergalactic civilization. Elena nodded, a mix of pride and wonder in her eyes. When we called the Galactic Council for help, I never dreamed it would lead to this. We've not only defended Earth, but also opened up a whole new frontier for both our galaxies. Their conversation was interrupted by Lieutenant Akira Tanaka, who approached with a holographic display hovering above his wrist device. "Admiral, Counselor, you're going to want to see this," he said, his voice tinged with excitement. The hologram expanded, showing a 3D map of the space surrounding New Horizons. Dozens of energy signatures pulsed across the display, moving towards their location. "More Zarkonians?" Elena asked, her body tensing for action. Akira shook his head, a grin spreading across his face. "No, ma'am. They're Androndan ships. Hundreds of them, from at least a dozen different species we've never encountered before, and they're all broadcasting the same message." He tapped a control, and a chorus of alien voices filled the air, all repeating variations of the same phrase. "We stand with the Guardians and their new allies." Elena's eyes widened in realization. The battle. It wasn't just observed by the Guardians. The entire sector must have witnessed our stand against the Zarkonians. Xandor's crystalline form shimmered with excitement. "This is unprecedented. We're witnessing the birth of not just an alliance, but potentially a new galactic federation." As if on cue, a group of Guardian elders approached, their massive forms moving with surprising grace. The lead Guardian, whom the humans had nicknamed Harmony, spoke through the translation device. "Admiral Linehuman." The Guardians' words flowed together in their unique way of speaking. "We have conferred with our kin across this spiral arm. The unity you have shown, the way you called upon your own council for aid, and then stood with us, it has inspired many. We would propose a great joining, a bridge between galaxies." Elena felt the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. This was beyond anything she had trained for, beyond anything humanity had ever faced. But as she looked around at the diverse group of beings working together, she knew what her answer would be. "On behalf of humanity and our allies from the Milky Way," Elena began, her voice clear and resolute, "we would be honored to help build this bridge. There's so much we can learn from each other, so much we can accomplish together." The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity, as the Androndan ships arrived, bringing with them representatives from species beyond imagination. The settlement on New Horizons transformed into a hub of intergalactic diplomacy. Dr. Sato worked tirelessly with Chimera to establish translation protocols for the new arrivals, while Akira coordinated with council engineers to expand the settlement's infrastructure. Elena found herself at the center of it all, her leadership and diplomatic skills tested as never before. As the twin suns of New Horizons began to set, casting the sky in a breathtaking array of colors, Elena stood before an assembled crowd of beings from two galaxies. Humans stood shoulder to shoulder with Arcturians, guardians towered over insectoid Andromedans, and dozens of other species filled the spaces between. Not long ago, Elena began, her voice carrying across the gathering. We were a small fleet, calling for help to defend our home. Now we stand here, representatives of two great galaxies, united in purpose and spirit. She gestured to the sky, where the first stars were becoming visible. The Zarkonians thought they could conquer us by driving us apart. Instead, they've only succeeded in bringing us together. We've proven that our differences are not a weakness, but our greatest strength. A cheer went up from the crowd, a cacophony of voices, clicks, and harmonic tones, all blending into one unified sound of approval. We have a long road ahead of us, Elena continued. There are challenges to overcome, bridges to build, both figurative and literal. We still need to find a way back to Earth, to share what we've discovered, and to fully connect our galaxies. But I have no doubt that together, we will achieve wonders beyond our wildest dreams. As Elena concluded her speech, a brilliant light streaked across the sky. A comet, its tail painting a glowing arc from one horizon to the other. To many of the assembled beings, it seemed like a cosmic sign, a celestial bridge between stars. In that moment, standing among beings from across two galaxies, Elena felt a profound sense of hope. They had called for help and found not just allies, but a new family stretching across the cosmic tapestry. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. As the impromptu celebration began, with humans teaching Andromedans to dance and guardians humming melodies that Arcturians translated into shimmering light shows, Elena allowed herself a quiet smile. Their journey was far from over, but this was more than just a new chapter for humanity. It was the dawn of a new era for two galaxies, united in a spirit of exploration, cooperation, and hope. The bridge between the Milky Way and Andromeda had been forged, and the greatest adventure in the history of all their species was just beginning. The end, and a new beginning.